Hello and welcome to Hello and Welcome with me, Lee. Today I am going to be talking about why I think big brands are suddenly targeting small influencers. Recently, via Twitter and now via Instagram, the brand Anastasia Beverly Hills started a PR search in which they were looking for new artists, new influencers of any follower count to add to their PR list. Now, when you're added to Anastasia Beverly Hills PR list, they do send you what basically amounts to the majority of their entire collection. So you'll be receiving a ton of products from Anastasia Beverly Hills, enough to supplement basically your entire kit. Whether you're a makeup artist for yourself or whether you have clients, you'll have everything that you need to do more or less any look that you can. So it's a very coveted PR list to get on. Anastasia Beverly Hills is a great company. They're a luxury company. They have a lot of really great products. So it's really kind of a big deal to be a part of their PR list. They also have a big Halloween party every year. I have heard that this year admittance to the Halloween party will be like by invitation only. So being on the list does not guarantee that you'll be invited to that party. But there are so many other great things. You're followed by Anastasia Beverly Hills on Instagram, and they're much more likely to see and to repost your pictures, which can get you higher engagement, more interactions on your page, more followers, and more attention from other brands. So it's really a big deal to get on the list. They actually call it the list. But this time, Claudia Norvina, the president of Anastasia Beverly Hills, was looking for new additions regardless of your follower count. She was especially looking for smaller influencers. This PR search was an absolute fucking blood frenzy. People were, I'm not gonna get into all the drama of it, but when you have an opportunity that's as potentially lucrative as this one, the claws do come out. Maybe I'll talk about some things that I saw in another video. Let me know if you want to hear my thoughts on it. But on this one, I really want to answer the question that came up on Twitter that won a poll that I put up and asking what YouTube video I should do next, and a video on why brands reach out to small influencers to add to their PR list was the number one. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I didn't graduate from college for communications and marketing, but I did go to college for that. But while I was at school, I did learn a lot about marketing, communications, and public relations. My focus was public relations. And so the best thing that I could think of as to why Anastasia Beverly Hills would aim for smaller creators is for a couple of different things. And I'll talk about each one. Number one is the rule of the 1,000 true followers. I don't know if you've heard that before, but I'll go into a little bit more detail about that in a second. Number two reason would be, I would say, profit by 1,000 cuts. Number three would be changing the dynamic between brand and influencer. Okay, number one, let's talk about the 1,000 true fans. There's an author, his name is Kevin Kelly. He wrote a book called The 1,000 True Fans, and it's this idea that in building an audience, if you have 1,000 people who are your fans and who would be willing to buy a product from you, that's more lucrative than having 100,000 fans, all of which are only moderately interested in you. Let's look at a hypothetical influencer with 4,000 followers. Let's say he has 4,000 followers. Let's say he's a he, and he has 4,000 followers, and his followers, they're really close. He tries to respond to everybody's comments. They kind of seem like a family. They like him. They turn him into their own personal memes, and they really just love this person. And he's not the greatest makeup artist. He's not the most attractive. He's not necessarily the most charming, but he has his own personality that his followers really, really enjoy. They really, really love him. Let's say of the 4,000, 1,000 of them really, really love him. They will follow him to the ends of the earth. They love this guy no matter what, right? And then you have, let's say, James Charles. James Charles currently he just reached 16 million subscribers on YouTube. So he has 16 million fans at least that are engaging in his content and that will buy his merch, his palette, anything that he comes out with. You know, you have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people who will come out for James Charles. On first thought, James Charles is going to be the person that you go after, and this other dude is going to be someone that it's just fine, you'll get him when you get him, right? Thinking of the law of the 1,000 true fans, that's not necessarily true, because the thing is that James Charles, there's only one James Charles. If you can get James Charles, you can get access to his entire audience, which is unspeakably lucrative for a makeup brand to have access to James Charles and his audience. But it's also very difficult. He's in extremely high demand. He makes a lot of money. He makes a lot of money for people. It's not going to be simple to gain access to James Charles and his audience. Anastasia Beverly Hills can gain access to James Charles, but most brands cannot. They just can't. Especially considering James Charles uses pretty much the same couple of products in his videos, and he doesn't do reviews. So getting your brand in front of James Charles' audience is going to be magnificently expensive, and it may be more expensive than what you can buy because you cannot buy loyalty to a brand. Not from James Charles, but this smaller creator, this one with 4,000 followers, there are thousands and thousands of influencers that have only a few hundred to only a few thousand followers, and they're much, much easier to access than James Charles and Jeffree Star and Patrick Star. And they're also a lot cheaper. So what you can get is you can get 1,000 fans, 1,000 fans, 1,000 fans that you know are going to buy the products that they push forward. And the way that you target those fans is you earn the loyalty of the influencer and adding them to the list. Norvina said that the PR package that comes with being added to the list is about $5,300 US. Say that you can somewhat predict that this influencer is going to be able to get his 1,000 true followers, his 1,000 true fans, to buy about $50 worth of Anastasia products per year. So you have 1,000 fans buying an average of $50 worth of Anastasia products every year. That's $50,000 per year. You've made back the price that you put into this influencer tenfold almost by investing in them rather than chasing James Charles. You've made, up to, $45,000 for that year from those 1,000 fans. Whereas you might have been able to make hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars from James Charles, but you also would have been chasing him the entire year and losing out on any other money that you're going for. So you're making that much money on one influencer with just 1,000 fans who are willing to spend a relatively small amount on makeup, $50, which is about the price of one palette. One palette is almost $50. So if you can get 1,000 fans to buy the Riviera palette, you've made back that money that you invested into that influencer tenfold. So, and then you do it over and over and over again. And I think the goodwill that you'll get by possibly losing money on a couple of these influencers who don't necessarily have that pull is a price that's worth the goodwill that you're earning from being involved in the community and giving a start to people who may not otherwise be able to have a start in the makeup industry in any meaningful way, at least right away. So it's a good investment. It's excellent optics. And Norvina was already very vocal and very responsive to people on Twitter. I had tweeted at her and had her tweet back to me and tweeted back and forth with her multiple times before the PR search ever happened. So she's always had that ear to the pulse of the smaller community. So it was just good business and just a good thought process that led her there. So that's the 1,000 true fans. Number 2 is I talked a little bit about that, but it's the profit by 1,000 cuts, which is where you get those 1,000 true fans over and 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 over again, and you're getting access to an audience that's more dedicated and more interested in this influencer who is getting them to buy your product. So you may be getting 30 customers from this person, and 10 customers from this person, and 1,000 here, and 2,000 here, and 50 here, but that adds up if you're having people who are going to keep coming back to your products and who are listening to someone that they know that they can trust. And people tend to feel like they can trust a smaller influencer that they've had a personal connection with in some way, more so than they're going to trust even Jeffree Star or James Charles or Tati Westbrook. It's just kind of the way it is. The closer that people feel to a person, the more likely they are to trust them, which large influencers can do and have done really well. I can talk about that sometime if you want to, but small influencers are better at it. It's easier. When you're a small influencer, you can reply to comments a lot more than James Charles can. Number 3 was changing the dynamic between influencer and brand. Before I go in, I want to say that this is not a dig towards anyone. This is just me pointing out a possibility in a trend that I personally think is a little bit worrying, but also the fact that Anastasia Beverly Hills is a good brand. In my opinion, it's a brand that you can trust. I've never had any problems with them as far as customer service, considering the quality of their product. Talking to Anastasia over Instagram and Ravina over Twitter, they seem like good, sweet, genuine people. They don't seem like sharks. They don't seem like monsters. There are some brands out there who the people who run them seem like monsters. Norvina and Anastasia, they seem like good, hardworking, very smart, very kind people. But there is the idea that, in looking through the people who are being added to the list, it's easy to see that the next James Charles, the next Jeffree Star, the next Patrick Star, and I don't mean to replace them, I'm just talking about the people who are going to be coming up and who are going to be reaching that, the Jackie Aina levels, multiple millions of followers, Alyssa Ashley, those type of people, like 3 million plus, 2 million plus subscribers on YouTube, millions of followers on Instagram. Those upper level people who start really having pull and sway in the industry, they're on that list right now. They're the people who were added to that list. And the thing is that, you have people like Manny MUA, who, in my opinion, is like is part of the last, James Charles and Manny MUA are part of the last generation of makeup artists to come up. So like Manny MUA, he got his start from, regardless of what he says, regardless of what anybody says, Manny MUA got his start from Jeffree Star. And Jeffree knows that, and I think people know that too. They know that Jeffree is a kingmaker. So what is interesting to me, and is a little bit scary to me, is that going into this next one, this next generation that's going to come up, you could have people who aren't saying, James Charles got me in, James Charles brought me up, Cole Carrington brought me up, or Jeffree Star brought me up, Patrick Star brought me up. You're going to be having less of those people, and you're going to be having more people who say, Anastasia Beverly Hills brought me up. They gave me my start. They gave me my kit. They introduced me to such and such person in their company, who introduced me to this, who introduced me to that, and that's what got me here. That's what you're going to be hearing from either this next generation or the generation after that of people who are coming up. I think this generation is still kind of growing, so maybe the generation after that, those are the people that you're going to be seeing saying, Anastasia Beverly Hills got me started, Morphe Brushes got me started, this other brand got me started. And you're going to be seeing more of a melding between influencers and brands that I don't think that we necessarily have now. My biggest hope is that these next generations can see the mistakes that the other generations made as far as business and as far as protecting themselves, and will take the extra steps to protect themselves and protect their brand going forward. But what worries me is that you'll start seeing influencers who feel like they're beholden to specific brands. I don't think that that's going to be an issue when it comes to Anastasia Beverly Hills. Anastasia, as far as I know, has been very influencer focused, just like Morphe has been. And also Anastasia has a history of being very fair, very high quality products, very diverse, and very much a company that you can look at and look up to in the industry. I don't know, I'll link it below, but I did make a Twitter thread about diversity in regards to black men in different brands, and consistently Anastasia Beverly Hills showed up right at the top of the list, consistently. Number 2 is Jeffree Star Cosmetics, which doesn't surprise me considering it's an influencer who really understands the way consumers and influencers look at the industry. So that doesn't surprise me at all. But at the very top is Anastasia Beverly Hills. So I think people saying that they got their start from Anastasia Beverly Hills doesn't really frighten me as much as people saying they got their start from some other brands who haven't necessarily been super kind to influencers and have sort of like used, abused, and tossed them aside. I'm not going to name any in particular, but if you think about, some brands who have had launches with certain influencers, and influencers got a lot of flack for stuff that happened with it, and the brand didn't really get any, you can probably guess which ones I'm talking about. I just don't want to see a beauty industry where influencers are synonymous with brands, because I think that would have really, really sad consequences to consumers. But yeah, that's why I think that Anastasia Beverly Hills and a lot of other companies are starting to look for smaller creators for their PR lists. One little thing that I should reveal is that I am not currently on any PR lists. I'm not making this video or anything like that to try to get on any PR lists. I'm really just answering the questions that people were asking. So I've kind of been able to watch this process from the outside. I would love to be part of a PR list so I can review products and all that kind of stuff like that, and really talk about the brands and think about that sort of thing. But so right now I'm not on any PR list, so me talking about this is totally from an outside perspective. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought. Let me know your thoughts about this and what you want to hear from me in a future video.